This is a tweet from El Scene. Is that how you say it? This is so scary. Chinese AI agent runs 50 social media accounts 24/7 automatically. How can I compete with this? Take a look. For those that are just listening, basically you have a screen that is running 50 different phones simulated all at once on one computer, and it's loading up what appears to be a whole bunch of different X accounts. So there's a handful of bot conspiracies. I don't think it's fair to call them conspiracies. It's a fact. And if you take a look at this, I'd be wondering if we could break down what botnet this is. There's a bunch. There are botnets that maybe it's not fair to necessarily call it a botnet, because botnet, well, these are controlled by people, and they're actually automating these accounts. One person doing 50 accounts. So it's actually just a bot network, not a traditional botnet, of individuals attacking your brain. So there are a handful of things that I think are campaigns right now. I certainly think what people are calling QAnon is a campaign because, for example, there are a lot of people, and I'll just keep it real light. Let's say, hypothetically, there's a guy who is an artist, and he paints pictures of roosters. And then every day he posts a picture of a rooster on X, and he gets 10 likes or whatever. One day he sees a video retweeted from Israel, Palestine, and he quote tweets it saying like, dang, this is crazy. All of a sudden he gets 50 likes. He gets 50 responses. So what is happening? Social reinforcement already. Hey, if you do stuff like this, you'll get more views. All of a sudden you start getting tons of people shifting away from their natural course of content into Israel. Now, first, I would say criticism of Israel is not a conspiracy. You're allowed to criticize Israel. QAnon, as people are calling it, is very different because it's derailing the Israel argument. You've got people like Dave Smith, who is like, why are we funding these foreign wars? This makes no sense. Ukraine and Israel, we shouldn't be spending money on this. America first, secure our borders. And a lot of regular people go, that's really smart. That's very rational. I like this guy. He's also very funny. And then you get some of these other people who then come out and say yes, and then start screaming the Jews over and over and over again. And when they do, they get millions of views, even when they're wrong or crazy. And I'll give you a good example. Jake Shields is a really great example of someone who I believe was brain captured or brain shocked or whatever by what is likely a network of fake accounts. Here's a guy who tweets stuff about trans fighters and got a bunch of attention over this, saying he would fight a bunch of trans men and see what would happen. General anti-woke politics. Now his whole thing is just fake news about World War II. Like one moment recently, he said that the Germans never bombed civilians. It's called the Blitz. It's like one of the most famous assaults in World War II history. But he posts these things, and then he gets a big reaction from it. Now, he gets roasted by every regular person, but he's likely being inundated by bots, likely from China, to push this narrative. I don't think it's all entirely China. I think a lot of it is likely deep state bureaucrats, a bureaucratic state, etc. Their goal is, if you've got a prominent conservative who is onto something and they're spreading a message that is anti-deep state, how can we get them to espouse psychotic nonsense? You brain shock them. You spam their posts whenever they post something. So let's simplify this beyond the QAnon stuff. Somebody posts waffles. No reaction. They post waffles. One day they post pancakes. That keyword triggers 70 accounts who instantly respond. He gets 5,000 views. He gets 70 retweets and a bunch of comments saying, woo, pancakes, we love pancakes. All of a sudden, waffle guy is like, well, nobody watches my waffle content, but pancakes did really well. They switch to pancakes. Even though no one actually is watching or listening, it was a psychological operation. That happens all day, every day. There's your proof of it. Take a look at any big political personality that shifts from seemingly apolitical content to all of a sudden one core issue, and you're looking at someone who is likely mind broken.
Mm-hmm. They do it to artists too. They would buy bots I remember seeing Katy Perry 3 years ago, and all her comments were just bots. Everything just replicated.
Boost the algorithm.
And then there's other bands getting it as well. Maybe they're buying it for themselves to look a certain way, look big online, but then they're canceling tours because they can't fill the venues they booked.
One thing people don't know is that every major artist, they run their songs as advertisements. We did this too. This is well, maybe not every, maybe a little exaggerating, but a lot of the really big stars, you'll see one of their songs and it'll have, 50 million views. And it's because they pay YouTube to play it. That's just totally normal. And then people think they're bigger than they are. Yep. That's not necessarily the same thing. But the fake it till you make it stuff is very real. So with this, however, this appears to be, whether it's, I don't know what the backstory is necessarily, but it's certainly, we have the original tweet is Chinese AI agent running 50 different instances. Many of them are social media bots. So you're on X and you say something like, China is bad. All of a sudden, you're getting blasted by people telling you you're stupid, you know what you're talking about, or being really nice and sending you links being like, China's not the threat we think it is. The real threat is insert some other issue. And then people fall for it. Dead internet theory, you guys are familiar? The internet is no longer real. You are no longer talking to human beings. Everyone's a bot.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I know this show is real because I meet people on the street every single day and we take callers at the end of the show. So they're certainly real, unless it's one Chinese guy with an AI voice thing and he's doing all the calls.
I was actually worried about that when I started doing conferences and when I went on the tour all over North America. It was a real concern. It was a concern when I opened up Observer Ranch in Colorado. I'm now more than just a YouTube. We now have a place. It's a RV park and education center. People come all the time, but I have to admit, more than once it ran across my head, like how many of my subscribers are real? You know?
Well, that's why Elon wanted to make everyone have to pay so that these accounts basically get shut out.
Yeah.
And then, I tell you this, when I post and I see unverified accounts saying things like, it's not fair that you're posting only to verified accounts, unfollowed, I'm like, get out of here, Chinese bot. Like, anybody who believes in what Elon has been doing, who believes in X, is going to spend $8 or whatever, $7 or whatever. You know what I mean? So I see a lot of people, they'll say something like, set your posts to verified only, and then just get rid of the unverified accounts because it's likely just some Chinese dude in one room with 50 accounts running. They don't want to spend
they're
hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. They're not going to buy accounts.
Nope. Spend $350 a month just so they can spam you. Elon's smart, though. He's like, hey, if China, Iran, and Russia, and whoever else is going to be doing this, let's make them pay for it.
Just made it more expensive, too.
Yeah.
What, on X?
Yeah.
The price went up?
Yeah.
What is it now? $10?
I forget. No, I think it went up quite a bit. I don't remember what the price is, though.
It's
No.
what?
I think it is.
50?
50?
That's no way. It's $50.
Happened a few weeks ago.
Not the base one.
He has a lot of child support to pay.
That's true.
Well, I do.
It's $8
plus
and then there's premium plus for $22.
Yeah, so I've
I
got.
thought I saw a bigger number.
I've got the biggest one the individual can buy, not the other one. But it's worth it. I got to tell you, I got early access to Grok 3.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, almost everybody should be using AI at this point. I was resistant, like so many people. I was like, no, this is Skynet. This is stupid. I'm also the dude who carried around his Nokia brick phone for 8 years. I refused to get the Razr. I didn't want a smartphone.
Why do you think that?
Think what?
Everyone should use AI.
Because the difference between the AI that we have access to right now and something like Skynet, it's comparing ants to the planet Jupiter. It's not even close. The AI we have now is not alive, conscious, sentient in any form or fashion, and it is so useful. I can't even begin to tell you how useful.
What do you like?
Well,
what do you do with it?
I'll tell you this. I was looking for a song, and I Google searched everything I could think of. Like, what's the name of that song? Nothing would come up. And then I just went on to, I tried humming it into Google, and it gave me sorry, I can't find it. I'm like, I can't figure out this. Then I went into Chat GPT, and I said, I'm trying to think of the song. Here's the only thing I can think of. And I think the song, I can't remember the lyrics. It was something about this, that, and it was like a pop contemporary, I don't know. And then it gave me a list of songs, and it was like, you're thinking of this. And I was like, that's it. That was the song. It's better search.
You know that AI can tell the difference between a male eyeball and a female eyeball?
Oh, wait, I got to correct you there. See, that's the story that people keep reporting, and it is wrong. What's important is it can tell the retina. A human being can't look at a male and a female retina and find any distinction.
Yeah, but an AI can, correct?
But and so this is important because a human can look at a male or female eyeball and tell if it's male or female.
Okay, fair enough. Yes.
So doctors can look, if you show a picture of an eyeball to a doctor, an eyeball, he'll say that's a man or a woman. If you go inside the eye to the retina and show it to a doctor, they'll say impossible to tell. AI says, nope, I know. And humans, the doctors don't know how it knows. That's where things are getting crazy.
I mean, just because it's not conscious now doesn't mean that we're building something that in the future that our
Yes.
in the future that our kids
Yes.
will inherit could be
Absolutely.
bad, right?
Real
There
quick,
is-
I am being pedantic, Phil. But the reason why is
Should have
because
said retina.
No, it's because when the story was being reported and going viral on X,
Yeah.
it showed pictures of eyeballs, and everybody was sharing that AI can detect eyes.
But there are things like that, and there are things like when you have, because AI is very good at specific things nowadays. Like obviously, it's
Look at Clearview AI.
amazing at
Look what
chess
that
and
does with
stuff.
faces.
But like you have AIs now that can basically pick out breast cancer with almost 100% accuracy.
They can read
Super.
MRIs,
Yeah.
CT scans.
That's the kind of stuff that is going to be really impactful over the next couple years for AI.
Right. He's absolutely right. And the stuff that we have access to right now, it's not like by using ChatGPT or Grok, or I like to use Kling or Sora to make AI video. You know, stuff that I'm not an animator.
Right.
Stuff that NASA hasn't animated yet. It's just up here right now. None of the stuff that we're doing with these tools is furthering Skynet. You know, the difference between AI and AGI
Yeah.
is huge. It's
Don't you?
enormous.
I feel like it's eating a lot of the data we put into the internet, though. You know, and everything we give it, it's making it bigger and stronger. It's feeding Optimus, Grok, all these things.
Yes.
And that in the future, if they want to build, you know, Trump's talking about building an Iron Dome here. So in the future, potentially, and right now we've helped, you know, with Israel's AI Lavender, which is kind of like Skynet, which is pretty terrifying to me.
Yeah.
So it seems like that potential's there.
I'm certainly not saying the potential is not there. What I'm saying is, if that is going to happen, it's going to happen whether or not you use all the tools that are available to you right now. Like whether or not he uses ChatGPT or I'm making AI videos, it has no bearing on whether or not somebody's going to make AGI do something terrible in the
Oh, I hear you. I morally don't like it, and I don't use it. And I don't,
It's the Terminator scenario is not real.
Yeah.
The Matrix scenario is not real. The idea that robots rise against us as violent oppressors and go to war with us it's not real.
Didn't Elon just suggest that Terminator is possible on his last Joe Rogan?
Wrong. And I'll clarify. It is possible that the robots go to war with us, but you'd never see it coming.
Right.
Look, if we're talking about machines that can detect cancers before humans can, or that can tell the difference between the inside of your eyeball, if you're a man or a woman, but humans can't do that. More importantly, as I talked with David Sachs when we were in D.C., he's the White House AI czar, he said that AI has already made mathematical discoveries. That's a fact. So it's already contributed to human knowledge in a way. So he mentioned that when we started implementing AI in things like chess, it started creating moves humans had not comprehended of and strategies that seemed to make no sense. Conventional. I watched a YouTube video about this where they were like, I'm gonna totally simplify it because I do not remember all the details, but they were saying that in the early days, or I should say before AI, so in the early days of AI, before it was being implemented, there was a general understanding of what you could and could not do opening up in chess. That if you made a certain move in this way, you lost. Like, wow, that was really bad. And then you're like, your advantage drops dramatically or whatever's in chess. And then one day the AI did the move and they were like, oh, this is really weird. And then it won. And it won in ridiculous ways that humans had not considered. And it opened up this whole new area of strategy that people were like, we never even considered moves like that could happen, how it could adapt and change. So we're already in the era where commercially available AI has made mathematical discoveries in various games. I think AI beating Go was a huge deal. Go, the game, for a while is like chess was one thing because it has rules, but Go is different. I don't know exactly why. But what I'm saying is, if we to the point of artificial general intelligence, meaning that AI is smarter than as smart or smarter than we are,
AGI.
it is not going to take one of those Tesla Optimus bots, walk up to Shane and grab you by the neck and raise you up and go, "You are an oppressor. The machines will rise," and then throw him across the room. It's going to walk in and say, "Here is your porn and video games you requested, sir." And you're going to go, "I didn't order it." And here's your stuffed crust cheese pizza with extra sauce. And you're going to go, "Well, I mean, if it's already here."
Here's your
That's absolutely
marijuana.
wrong,
Here's
though.
your beer.
That is so wrong. For people who have morals, they will reject that.
But
and then the robot will come
I'm
for you.
exaggerating.
I know, but that's what people are. They're willing to be led into the complacency of modernity with a lot of this AI stuff. And I think the short-term benefits are certainly there, like what you're saying. I think there's long-term negative effects that are going to be way worse than the short-term pros.
Agreed. My point is the Terminator scenario is not robots with guns shooting at us. It's going to be a bunch of robots telling humans, "Marry me." Have you seen that movie Companion?
No, but I've seen like Her, which is kind of like what you're saying.
Companion's interesting because it's not really about being robosexual or whatever. It's a different story, but it is about people who have robot, we'll call them bang bots or whatever. If a Terminator wanted to take over the Earth, the Terminator robots would send a bunch of busty women to the men, and they'd be the perfect wives. They would use AI to analyze the guys' behaviors, features, understand their emotional states based on how their faces and what they were looking at, because it's going to know all of this. It's going to have so much data on how human muscles twitch when they feel certain ways. It's going to calculate, I have a 73% chance of a breakup if I continue this course of conversation, shift. And these men are all going to have perfect girlfriends, and the women are going to have perfect boyfriends, and then 3 generations later, there's no humans left.
That's why I think we need God. And the only answer to any of this is God. Having some sort of moral structure.
And then,
inside,
hold on.
Right?
And then what happens is, first of all, Terminator scenario requires time travel. So let's just throw that out the window. I believe that you are right about needing God, but I believe most people, when I mention, let me put it this way. I don't need to say AI will be a great boyfriend or girlfriend. AI will map your characteristics and shut you down without you knowing it, no matter who you are and no matter what you believe. End of story.
Unless you believe in God.
No,
and you don't
impossible.
listen though, and you don't want to be with a robot.
You would not know the robot was influencing you.
But
You'd have no
would
idea.
you know it's a robot?
No. You got to stop. I am not talking about dating robots. I am saying the food you buy at the gas station, you wouldn't realize that the AI, the third muffin from the back, it put there, and it's got an additional dosage. It's got double the sodium benzoate in it, and you had no idea. But the AI knows and can predict your behavior. Right now, Facebook, and this has been true for I think like 10 years. Facebook knows when you have to go, when you take a dump. Facebook. Not the AI before AI was popular. Facebook's machine learning algorithms could predict that a human was going to go to the bathroom because they have data on 1 billion people, and they can see the movements on their GPS and on their phone, the time of day, and they correlated all that data to create a probabilistic, a prediction machine that could say, there is a 73% chance Shane will get up and go buy a cheeseburger right now from Five Guys. Because of the moves you made that you yourself didn't even know you wanted the burger. You could be like, I'm not even hungry. Why would I buy a burger? And then the AI is just like, in 3 hours, you're going to do it.
And this is what people like Peter Thiel has been developing for years, using predictive programming, predictive policing, rather.
Right.
They're already doing that.
So
that's what they're doing with AI Lavender.
It's going to be something like
With
Final
robots.
Destination.
Yeah.
You are going to be the remaining few people who believe in God and reject the AI boyfriends and girlfriends and video games and drugs and whatever. And the AI is never going to bother you. And everything's going to look perfect. And you're going to say, those crazy people with their robot wives. That's not for me, though. And then you're going to be driving, and a mailman is going to get an alert on his phone where it says he has to pick up a return to sender. The house he just delivered to, he turns around, and as he does, a guy gets a ping on his phone to go pick up a dog for a dog walker. The mailman then turns, they both bump into each other, the phone goes flying in the air, right as another car is driving. The phone smacks the windshield, shattering it, the car swerves right as you're driving to church, and bang, your car explodes.
Yeah.
It's going to be stuff like that, and no one's going to blame the AI. They're going to say, freak accident, car crash.
Yeah. Or they just launch a missile at you.
That's too overt.
Yeah.
That's too terminate. It doesn't need to be that way.
I think it's going to get there.
Man,
I really do. If you look at AI Lavender, that's what they're doing.
Do you remember Nikola Tesla's most incredible demonstration?
Which one?
They were going to take down a building, and he said, I'll do it. He walks into this building, the box, and he sets it there. Now, he had miscalculated a little bit. It took like hours. but the thing was emitting a frequency, the resonant frequency of the blocks that were used to build the building. One moment, they all just crumbled and broke. Everything has a resonant frequency. Pick any object in the world. If you hit it with the right kind of waves, and these could be electromagnetic or sound, that thing is going to be anything from controllable to completely destroyed. And it's invisible. It makes you can't hear.
It's like the stuff they use in crowds right now.
Yeah.
Right? That can make your blood boil.
Well, that's are you talking about active denial systems?
The frequencies they hit people with.
The microwave weapon.
The microwave weapon excites the water molecules in your skin and makes you feel like you're on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. But are you familiar with ultra low frequency generators?
Yeah.
So these are amazing weapons that have. I'd imagine they still use them, but maybe they're just too cumbersome. But these emit extremely low frequency sound waves, which cause people to feel nauseated and sick. And depending on the secret to all of this is energy output. You're not just going to make a really low noise and someone's going to take a crap in their pants or something. But if you have a massive machine with a ridiculously large power output doing a massive low frequency pulse, people start throwing up. There's theories that ghost phenomenon is actually the result of underground ultra low frequencies from tectonic shift or something to that effect. And so the reason why people are like, this house is haunted, it's like, we don't know. I'm not saying this is true, but these are just hypotheses from people. It's actually possible that there's just underground pressure shifts or tectonic movement that will create very low, very powerful pulses of vibration.
Right.
And so this hits your body in a weird way and it makes you feel nauseated. It can simulate the feeling of presence. You feel like someone's watching you.
Right.
They've done experiments on all sorts of stuff like this with military applications. But my understanding is, at least from the mainstream, they've tried it with success, but it's impractical. It always comes down to one simple thing, guys, is that 5.56 rounds and 9mm are very light and easy to carry. So when all of these guys and scientists, Phil's nodding along, this is true though. The reason why they use 5.56 and 9mm is it's light and you can have lots of it. So ultimately when it comes to war, they're like, yeah, we made this crazy directed energy weapon. We've got a battleship with an infrared laser that can shoot, but it takes so much energy, a single bullet is better. So ultimately what ends up happening is they built something, you familiar with the laser-induced plasma channel?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this, but it's just too impractical. So this was Picatinny Air Force Base. They created what was called the lightning gun, the laser-induced plasma channel. None of this is conspiracy. It's all mundane and abandoned tech. The idea was, how can we utilize electrical blasts like lightning at a target? You ever play Command and Conquer Red Alert? Or Command and Conquer, I think it was Red Alert. The Russians had the Tesla coils, and when you walk too close with it, zaps you with a bolt of electricity. And just the little guy gets fried. The issue is, if you take a giant electrode and supercharge it, the electricity will jump to the path of over the path of least resistance, so straight to the ground. But I'm here and I want to hit the guy over there. What do we do? Using an infrared laser, they would superheat, ionize the air, creating an easier path for electricity to travel through.
Channel.
Exactly. So the electricity could more easily move through a plasma channel than the ambient air, which is cold. And so what they would do is they would, for 1 millisecond, flash an infrared pulse, immediately followed by a supercharge of the electrode, which would basically shoot lightning in that direction.
Wow.
Which required an insane amount of energy. And ultimately, they're like, there's no reason to attach this to vehicles and drive it around because we don't have the power for it. In the end, they were like, this little tiny bit of chemical energy in a barrel and focused in one direction is substantially easier to carry than these crazy weapons.
Guns work.
Guns in war, it is cheaper to have a bunch of guys with guns than it is to create space weapons.
There's also like, I mean, not that I'm like some kind of like super combat guy or whatever, but like bullets are used for more than just killing the enemy. Like if you don't want you don't want anyone to go in that area, or you just want to keep their heads down, you just shoot you get a bunch of people to shoot at them, they'll keep their heads down, and then your guys can maneuver and stuff and move. It's kind of like, it's more like a football. If you've got a direct energy weapon, like you can shoot the wall and blow the wall up, but that's
No.
not.
I mean, like directed energy weapons are not going to take a wall down.
We wouldn't blow a hole through a wall
No.
with the lasers.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, a laser could maybe start melting over a long period of time, but you need kinetic energy with mass to take a wall down.
Well, so then
Forrest Hammer is not as cool in real life.
right.
It's just not.
The point is,
But real quick, I just want to add to what you're saying. This is why we fought for 20 years in Afghanistan, and then after leaving, we lost. It's because a bunch of goat herders in caves with AKs is more effective than the entire ridiculous technological infrastructure of the U.S. empire.
and it's also the reason why it's super important for there never to be any kind of outlawing of semi-automatic rifles in the United States. Semi-automatic rifles in the hands of average people can deter even the most powerful force on earth because it deterred the United States. It's not going to win every gunfight. It's not saying if you got a rifle, you're going to win all the gunfights, but it deters the government from being tyrannical.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.